Welcome to the Collector Cave, and today we have a figure that I wouldn't normally have on this channel, but this is a Mythic Legions figure by Horsemen, and the name of the figure is Duban, I think. I don't know a whole lot about these figures. I've followed them on and off here for a while. I see them always on Big Bad Toy Store, which is where I got this guy at. And I'm not into getting another line. I already collect enough with Mezco and Hot Toys. But I thought this figure was so cool. He comes with the bird. He's medieval looking. The whole Mythic Legions was a Kickstarter, I think, back in maybe 2015. And it's growing. And there's tons of them now. They're interchangeable. A lot of collectors like these figures. It's their own IP. It's a brand new IP to my knowledge. I don't know a whole lot about the world or the universe, but this is a cool looking figure. He's a ranger. And if you go on their website, Four Horsemen website, it talks about all these guys in detail. His faction is called Zylona's Flock. I don't really know, but here's some sort of symbol. And on the side here, it talks about him. My eyes are not what they used to be. So if you guys want to pause and read this talks about him and who he is. But for me, he's a ranger. And then on the back, it shows you some of the other figures. This was an All-Stars. I think he's a re-release, I believe. But here it talks more about it. So again, if you guys want to pause and read that, it's there for you. And then it shows the credits of who worked on this figure. And then down here is the UPC. And I believe it says these are for ages 15 and up. Yep, ages 15 and up. So this package is a bit different than the Cosmic Legions. I just reviewed the Ziri figure. And this packaging is a little older. And they say it's collector friendly. And it looks like it is. I don't see tape anywhere. So I think you just pull these tabs up, slide the card off, and the figure will come out, I think. So I'm going to open this guy up and we'll take a look at him in detail. All right, so this figure comes with a disclaimer telling you that these figures sit for a while in the packaging and sometimes the joints can get stiff and you may have to use hair dryer or hot water to kind of warm up the joints so you don't break them when you first bend them and move them out of the package. I had to do that with my Ziri figure from Cosmic Legions, but this one out of package was okay, but they do give you this disclaimer, and I would highly advise, if you can't move a joint, just stop, grab a hair dryer, 10 seconds or so, just to soften that plastic, that joint, and then it should be able to kind of break free and move. So cool they give this to you. I wish every toy manufacturer did, because it happens with almost all toys. I've had it happen with Hot Toys. So good that they do that. But here's everything that Duban, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, comes with. He does have this backdrop. That's inside the card back. So you can use that if you want to display the figure. There's like some dragons and stuff and fire behind him. But man, he comes with some cool stuff. Again, the main reason I got him was because of the bird. And boy, I hate to say that. I don't know if it's a falcon or what kind of bird this is. It's definitely not an eagle. I think it might be a falcon, but I'm not sure. But he has the bird. And growing up watching Lady Hawk in the 80s, I absolutely love that dynamic that Rutger Hauer had the bird, had the hawk, Lady Hawk. And it would come to him. And then when I got older, I realized there's a whole thing called falconry. I'm very intrigued by all that. And so the fact he has a bird as like his buddy, I just love it. And he's a ranger. In fantasy stuff, ranger is my favorite class. So I'm all about this guy. And then he comes with 8 total hands. There's fists, grasping hands. The hands are holding the sword. And then he comes with a sword, and it comes in a sheath. And it actually, it comes out. And there's a thing there to hold it on his belt, I believe. And then he has this cool crossbow, which actually goes back and locks in place. But there's no bolts. It doesn't come with any bolts, which kind of blows me away. Why would you have a crossbow without any bolts? Unless I missed something or lost it or didn't get it. But kind of odd there's no bolt. I mean, I don't know how you would attach it. It would fall off. Maybe that's why I didn't worry about it, but they should have at least given you one, I think. There's a dagger, and that dagger looks pretty nice. It's got a green hilt. Sharp looking. The paint apps are nice on these figures. And then he has these shoulder pauldrons, which somehow go in. I'll have to look at that. You know, for me, a ranger doesn't usually have like much metal armor. It's usually leather armor. Or in this case, like he has studded armor here down below. And then he has some greaves on, which is all metal. And then this chest plate. So he's almost like, he's a ranger, but he's a different type to me. And then this nice cloak. And it's all wired. It's fabric. Let me zoom out. It's wired every which way. Everywhere there's an end, there's wire. And then there's a clasp at the top of this. Maybe there's not. No, I think I take the head off. It's sewn. That's odd. It's sewn. Sorry, I wasn't showing you guys in the camera. It's the Ziri figure from Cosmic Legions has a little button clasp. So I think I've got to remove the head to put this on. Well, I'll figure it out. But yeah, cool they give this to you. Now the hood is separate. The hood is plastic. Let me get the figure here closer. The hood is plastic, so I'm not sure how that's going to look together. I mean, I guess, you know, some people like soft goods. Some people like plastic goods for cloaks and capes and stuff. I usually prefer soft, but man, the way they have this thing draped with the plastic, it looks perfect. His eyes are in shadow. I mean, you can see his eyes. They're in there somewhere. The light's not picking them up, but let me see here. Yeah, there's his eyes. He's looking. And they're painted good, but the whole idea of him is, you know, he's a ranger. He's just kind of incognito. But as far as articulation, oops, let me back up. You know, the head, because of all the armor, doesn't give you a lot. You can turn and look. He can tilt a little bit, but it's not a whole lot, which is fine. The shoulders are tight, but they go out 90. And there is a swivel. And then the elbows, it's a single joint, but it does rotate. And then the hands are ball hinge, I believe. And then there's no upper torso because of this armor. There is a ball joint waist, which gives, you know, pretty good. Back a little bit, forward more. And then this studded leather here is really soft rubbery. And then there's another soft rubber piece here for the loincloth. But he can kick up, because it's such soft rubber, he can kick up, you know, over 90. And then the knees are very tight. But they go single joint about that far. And that's how that looks. So it actually looks pretty good. Sometimes knee joints can look weird, but because of these armor greaves, it reminds me of Dr. Doom, it breaks it up pretty nice. And then his foot can go up, down a little bit, and then the rocker is really good. There's some good ankle rocker on these figures. So that's pretty much articulation. I'm going to spend a minute here to try and figure out how to get all this stuff on this guy. Let's look at the bird. I didn't really show the bird. So it looks like maybe his forearm comes off because it's on this greave or this gauntlet. And so I think it's just static. Unfortunately, it's stuck on there. So you really can't have the bird flying. On their website, the Four Horsemen website, if you look up the Duban figure, there's a picture of him and the bird's flying. They must have photoshopped the legs off and everything. So it's kind of disappointing that they photoshopped that, but you can't take this off to my knowledge. It's all solid. The head does move though. The bird's head does move. But the bird is bigger than I expected. He's got his wings out. I mean, he's full expand. And the paint, look at the paint apps. The paint apps are really nice. Feathers look good. There's actually detail in the feathers, as you can see there. The sculpt and paint work is really good on this figure. I'm impressed for my first time having a Mythic Legions figure. I just wish that either these legs came off or something so you could have the bird in flight. But I guess you have to Photoshop it anyway. So if you got to Photoshop a bird flying, might as well Photoshop his legs off, right? All right, let me get this stuff all put together and see what we can get for some looks. Okay, so here's Duban with his shoulder pauldrons on. And then I've got both his sword and knife sheathed. He's kind of got his hand resting on the hilt of the sword. And then he's holding the crossbow. And I don't know if I have this right, but I have the sword going through this sheath right here, and the dagger going in that one right there. You probably could rearrange them if you wanted to. And the shoulder pauldrons plug in back here. I had a hard time plugging them in. I actually had to work it. And they're hinged, well, his head's in the way, but they're hinged so that the arm can go up. They actually can go up and down. But the hood's kind of in the way. So you don't get a whole lot of range once these pauldrons get on. But, you know, for a ranger, I feel like he's got too much armor on, metal armor, but it does look cool. And the detail on this armor looks good. You can see like nicks and scratches. There's rivets there. Even the chest armor, it has some type of pattern, inscription on it. Looks like it's, you know, it's seen some time, it's been worn away. And even though this is all rubbery plastic, it looks like leather a little bit. It looks good. So the work on this is good. And even like the undergarments, the shirt, you know, you have like almost like sackcloth type look. And then there's the gauntlet. And then he does have leather gloves on and a metal gauntlet over it. And then there's the studded leather armor for his thighs and waist to protect him. Belt hanging down. There's some close detail on those, and the dagger and the sword. Dagger looks really good. I love that look. It almost looks like a Klingon weapon, the design. Very aggressive looking. And the pauldrons. You can see, you know, it's all sculpted plastic, but here you can see, if I can focus, buckles. Very cool. Cool look. Let me get the cloak on now and see how he looks with the cloak. All right, here's Duban with his cloak on, and you can just see a little bit of that knife, his dagger. He's got it underneath coming out, maybe for protection or maybe to get someone stealthily. But you can see that the wire in this cape allows for it to look like, you know, if the wind's blowing. The cape is heavy, the cloak is heavy, but you can definitely get it to go up. So if, you know, he's on top of a mountain waiting for his bird to show up, his falcon or eagle, whatever it is, hawk. The wind's blowing. You know, he's got his head down, shielding himself from the rain, maybe. You can see the difference in color, though, in the hood and the soft goods. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I love the look of that plastic hood, the way they have it draping over his head. The design of this figure is really cool, which is why I got him. I don't plan on getting any more Mythic Legions, really, but the look of this figure was just so cool. I look forward to doing some shots with him. But yeah, I think it looks pretty neat. Let's try and get the bird on now. I want to get the bird connected. All right, and here's what I've been waiting for since I got this figure. Is him with his hawk. And I looked him up on the Four Horsemen website, and he's called a Hawk Master. So it's definitely, I'm assuming it's a hawk. And the bird's name is, this is tough to pronounce, Vidrolfunur, something like that, kind of like a Swedish sounding name. But it says he's never without his loyal companion. So, I mean, that is just cool. And I have the shoulder pauldron on, and he was able to fold up enough to get his arm up to hold the bird. And what it is that you don't take the gauntlet off. You just take the hand off. And then the bird and the cover, the leather cover for the bird, slide over the gauntlet on the arm, the forearm. And then you just put a hand on. It wasn't the easiest thing to peg in. A little challenging, but I got it finally to connect. Man, this is how I would display this guy. If I put him in my detolf or whatever, he's definitely going to be with a bird. To me, the weapons are insignificant when it comes to having something cool like this to display. And you know, he's shrouded in mystery there. You can't see his eyes, even though they're there and they're painted good. That's the whole point of this guy. He's just like in the shadows. And that cloak, you know, the wired goods. This figure is $50. And I think for the cost and what you get, I think it's worth it. you get like multiple sets of hands, you get a bunch of weapons, only one head sculpt, but you get the bird too. So to me, that getting that hawk is, I would take that over a head sculpt. So it's still available. You can get this on BBTS, Big Bad Toy Store. It's available still. There's a lot of Mythic Legions figures and now Cosmic Legion figures. But let's go ahead and do a couple reviews here, or side-by-side comparisons to see how he stacks up to other figures. Okay, here's Duban next to Cosmic Legion's Zurian Spire, or better known as Zuri. They're both made by 4 Horsemen. The Duban figure, Mythic Legions, is more of a fantastical, fantasy type setting, whereas Zuri with the Cosmic Legions is a sci-fi setting. But these are the only 2 figures I have from both these lines. That's all I plan on getting. But I am very happy with both these purchases. I actually like Duban better than Zuri, even though I prefer sci-fi over fantasy. I think the Duban turned out great. Let's see how he stacks up next to some Mezco figures. Here's Duban next to Mezco 112 Collective Batman. I think this was the Ascending Knight. It's like the Mezco did a three different types of Batman, young, middle-aged, and old. And I think this was Ascending Knight. Because the Duban's actually bigger. Typically Mezco figures run a little bit taller than 6 inches. And I don't have my tape measure, but looks like Duban may be closer to 7, I think. But boy, cool side by side. I mean, you got 2 shadowy looking figures by each other. Here's Duban next to Mezco's Green Lantern Hal Jordan release, which is one of my favorite Mezco figures. That Hal Jordan turned out awesome. I haven't looked at him in quite a while. Man, Duban's much bigger. And I don't know if Mythic Legions as a whole runs bigger than Mezco. I know there's different scale figures even within Mythic Legions, but this Duban figure seems to be kind of just overall proportion-wise much bigger than Mezco figures. Okay, and the final comparison, Duban next to Dr. Doom from Mezco. And I know for a fact Doom is 7 inches, and Duban looks like he's a tad bit taller than Doom, which is crazy. But, you got 2 armored characters. Dr. Doom, most of it's metal. But boy, they look cool side by side. The armor is different. But I would say for a $50 figure, that armor looks really good. Stacking up against, Mezco's Dr. Doom, which costs a lot more. Of course, came with a lot more too. But what a cool side-by-side here. So at the end of the day, is this figure worth it? I think if you're into Mythic Legions, absolutely. You probably already have him because he's a cool release. If you like fantasy, maybe like D&D, stuff like that, this character kind of fits that lineup as well. If you like falconry like me, you have a hawk that comes with him. It'd be cool if maybe the wings were articulated somehow, but the head does move. So it's pretty neat. Again, it's, BBTS has it still, $50. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts. This is an older release, I believe, but this one came out last year, I think of spring or summer. I think it's a re-release. If I'm not mistaken, they called it an All-Stars lineup. So I'm probably behind, on this. I've had them for almost a year and just opened them up tonight, finally. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you like Mythic Legions? Do you want to see more of this content? I don't plan on buying too many more, but if you guys want to see it, let me know. And then if you can, subscribe, like, comment. I love interaction with talking about stuff we love, figures, toys. So until next time, this has been Mythic Legions Duban.